Coming across a small brook, Meve ordered her soldiers to replenish their water supplies. When they returned, it was with empty water skins and troubled expressions.
Milady, the water tastes of blood. Not like black pudding, mind, but rancid, filthy.
Meve had no choice but to march on. She gulped dryly and wondered how to interpret this strange event. An omen, perhaps? A warning from the gods? She soon learned the truth. Following the brook upstream, the Lyrians arrived at a small pool. Bobbing on its surface were dozens of corpses. A young woman caught Meve's gaze, her long hair spread delicately atop the water, wide-open eyes reflecting the sky, a fine nose peppered with freckles, and a gaping wound slashed across her throat.
"We shall stop here,"
the Queen said calmly,
"and give these souls a proper burial. Reynard, send scouts. Tell them they are not to return until they ascertain what has happened here."
When the scouts returned a while later, they brought with them a barefooted peasant they'd found hiding in the woods. They claimed he hailed from Horton, a nearby village, the village whose inhabitants had been murdered.
Them black-clad wretches stormed the village, milady. The devil Thronebreaker at the fore. Rounded us right up, took us down to the lake. Whole village, mind. Then chop, chop, and splosh, splosh. 'Twas I alone gave him the slip.
Meve listened to the man's tale, then placed him in the care of her medics and ordered the Lyrians to break camp. She rode at the head of their column, Reynard at her side, her knuckles gripped white on the reins.
"Do we know where this Thronebreaker is stationed?"
Our riders report he's pitched camp to the east.
"Then let's pay him a call."
They killed all, like Rosberg. My lady, please, make them pay.
Milka, Bezrad, Kristan, all killed. Souls snuffed out to the very last. Could have run for help, I know. But I was afeard. Afeard the black lads had catch wind of me, hear me. What now? Whatever will I do? Alone. Left all alone. Me lady, buried our valuables for the black lads came. In the wood, near a big boulder. Got a bit of charcoal? I can sketch the way for you.
The Lyrians had no trouble finding Vrigev's camp. It was the size of a sprawling town. Meve stopped her caravan and called for a council. The first to speak was Reynard.
Seems our scouts were both right and wrong, Your Grace. They did pinpoint General Thronebreaker, the Butcher of Horton. Unfortunately, they underestimated his detachment. It is much larger and better armed than our own.
"That changes nothing,"
Meve said, forestalling all protest.
"If I leave him unpunished, without so much as an attempt, I shall never be able to face my reflection again. We must attack."
Reynard bowed and passed the order to the Lyrians. Later that same day, Meve and Vrigev's forces stood face to face on the field of battle.
Come out, Thronebreaker! It's time you pay for your crimes!
This could hurt. You will pay.
There! Frigga! I see him! We've got to catch him!
Wise choice.
Horsens.
Something from nothing. It's exactly what I do.
Got him! The rest should surrender afore long.
The Lyrians won the day, despite their foe's distinct advantage. Historians later ascribed Maeve's victory to her light troops' superior maneuverability in the difficult terrain compared to the plate-clad Nilfgaardians. But if you ask me, that wasn't it at all. A storm of fury had been quietly gathering in the Lyrians' hearts, a squall of rage stoked by the Nilfgaardians' unparalleled cruelty towards the conquered. And no one embodied this barbarism more perfectly than General Frigga. Maeve's men were ready to sacrifice anything to see him punished. They dragged the defeated general before Maeve. The Queen wished to learn why he'd ordered the execution of an entire village, how the Nilfgaardians could possibly justify such a crime.
2 weeks prior, I'd sent a detachment to Horton to procure feed. Captain Gaynor commanded it. While he was verifying their grain stores, they barricaded him in the barn and put it to flame.
The Queen listened to the general's story, her face a mask, betraying nothing.
Murdered. One man was murdered.
Frigga raised his eyes to Maeve's. The Queen was surprised to see them wet with tears.
Yes, my lady. My son.
The general's simple words bore pain, grief, and a thirst for revenge that would never be slaked. The Queen had to decide what to do with Frigga. No doubt the general had earned punishment, the harshest possible at that. Yet, such a weighty personage could fetch a hefty ransom, and Maeve's army desperately needed the gold.
My father taught me to respect the generals of my enemies. That even in captivity, their arms should not be taken from them. Their guards should greet them in salute.
The Queen said.
But you, Frigga, you are no general. Merely a cutthroat dressed as one. You shall die like the good folk of Horton. Quickly. Summarily.
Frigga received the Queen's decision with sang-froid. He neither struggled nor begged for mercy. He simply laid his head on the trunk. A short moment later, it rolled onto the ground to the Lyrians' deafening applause.
Our ballista, your command. Armor won't save him. One boat's all I need. Give me a target. Our ballista, your command. Armor won't save.
Meave's Lyrians were traversing a wood when they heard the loud, drawn-out blast of a horn.
One of our scouts?
The Queen asked, clearly perplexed. She turned in her saddle to face Reynard, who shook his head.
Strange. Gascon, appoint a few of your strays. Ones who know how to blend in. Have them sniff out who blows that horn. And why.
The scouts returned a short while later with their report. Soldiers had pitched camp in a nearby meadow. They wore Edirnian uniforms, cut by sashes bearing a golden sun. They addressed their leader as Fulberson.
Know the name.
Rayla said.
Fulberson went over to the enemy first day of the war, took his whole division with him. Your Grace, a chance like this won't come again. Let's teach the traitors a lesson.
We must send a strong signal. One all the North will hear. From the Yaruga to the Dragon Mountains.
Announced the Queen.
Whoever collaborates with the invader shall pay with his head. Prepare to attack.
Rayla nodded, clearly pleased. The Lyrians surrounded the meadow marked by their scouts. Moments later, a flaming arrow pierced the sky, giving the signal to attack.
Is that Queen Maeve? To arms!
152, 154. Scrubbing duty again? Oh, gods. Orders? No?
This man has suffered much.
Ever have a stone knock out one of your teeth?
Wise choice.
Have it the white of an eye from half a league away.
Mercy, your grace. We surrender.
The traitors, perhaps used to fighting unsuspecting foes, stood no chance against the determined Lyrian attack. At its conclusion, Maeve personally knocked Fulberson off his mount, then tore off his visor. The face she saw evoked more sympathy than hatred. Fulberson was an old, sickly man, his skin pale and blemished. With great difficulty he pulled himself up on his knees, then extended a shaky hand in pleading.
Your Grace, have mercy. The Nilfgaardians forced me to treason. They threatened torture.
Meve felt her soldiers' eyes on her. They awaited her decision. How would she treat this traitor? Would she really execute him as a warning to others?
You needn't fear torture anymore,
said Meve.
Your execution shall be quick.
Fulberson made a last grasp at the Queen's foot, pleading for mercy. But she brushed him off with a firm gesture. Soon thereafter, he swung from a tree, hanged by the very black sash he draped over his armor. The Lyrians stood within 5 miles of Aldersburg, when the road, which until now they had travelled alone, suddenly filled with all manner of folk. Peasants, merchants, and wounded fighters in tattered uniforms. They trod solemnly in the opposite direction, their worldly possessions on their backs.
Aldersburg's fallen, my lady,
sighed one of the refugees with a forlorn shrug.
Outer walls breached. King still defends the old town, but black-clad goats are winning. You'd best turn back. before it's too late.
We've nowhere to turn to, good man.
the Queen said, then spurred on her horse.
Follow me!
The Queen galloped so fast the wind squeezed tears from her eyes, the Lyrian cavalry close at her heels. Hoofbeats thundered down the high road, and the crowd of refugees parted, making a path for the charging riders.
Faster! Faster!
Soon they set eye on Aldersburg. A red glow filled the horizon. The wind carried screams and the clanking of steel. The once proud city was quickly turning to dust in the Nilfgaardian sun. The Nilfgaardian force moved to block the Lyrians' way. Without slowing, Meve cut down the infantryman who tried to drag her from her saddle with a hook. Her head in a winged helmet fell to the ground, leaving a bloody track.
Lyrians! Attack!
Meve shouted.
Take no prisoners! Bloody hell! You shan't stop me. Not now!
This could hurt. Watch your heads!
Wise choice.
Catch!
Boots got sand aplenty in them.
Ever have a storm knock out one of your teeth?
Order!
I've hit the white of an eye from half a league away. Gloire!
Use this. Not sure for what yet, but...
Victoire!
Just when you thought things were about to get dull.
Gloire en Kazer!
As ordered.
what you folk lack.
We must trust each other. Your Grace, all that was but their rear guard.
The Lyrians managed to scatter the Nilfgaardian battalion, one of many besieging Aldersburg. Their scouts brought before the Queen a prisoner freed from the invaders. Niamh inquired about the situation in the city.
Turned a right slaughterhouse it has. The Imperials, they... King had the city cleared, my lady, but didn't budge himself. Holding out with his guard in Old Town, walls still standing there. Said he'd fight to the end, come what may.
Niamh weighed her options. The situation looked dire. Demavend, to whom she had come for help, needed help himself. Nilfgaard enjoyed an overwhelming advantage. The small Lyrian detachment stood no chance of breaking the siege. But to retreat, surrender, that was not something Niamh did.
The Nilfgaardians do not expect a relief force. Rayla, you know Aldersburg. Can you lead us by side streets to the Old Town, that we may avoid the largest part of the Nilfgaardian army?
The warrior nodded, and without waiting for any further orders, strode out in front of the party. Reynard followed her with his gaze, clearly troubled.
And what then, Your Majesty? We burst into the lion's den and...
And we pray the lion chokes. Follow me!
The walls. King Demavend will fight to the end! Turn back! Turn back while you've the strength to run, while you have your life! Aldersburg falls! The walls, crushed and breached. The lower town in flames. Hundreds, thousands wounded. Thousands more fled. The walls, crushed and breached. The lower town in flames.
Your mother was a hamster, and your father smelt of elderberries. Avort, Lyrian Quan! Art Fen Esna!
Gods have mercy. And demons take it all!
Taking advantage of the confusion, Niamh maneuvered her troops to the very walls of the Old Town. Spying Lyrian banners, the defenders suspected a trap. But when they noticed Black Rayla among them, they immediately lowered the drawbridge. The Old Town was a maze of brothels and shady taverns. In normal times, students and other pleasure seekers prowled its dark alleys. Now, tired soldiers slumped in every corner, though the Lyrians' arrival clearly buoyed their spirits. The Fraternal Realm's warriors clasped each other's hands and swapped tales. Even Eden's king, Demavend, made no secret of his pleasure at seeing these unexpected arrivals.
Niamh, of all the besieged cities in all the world, you walk into mine. Come to the rescue, have you?
To be quite frank, I've come to be rescued.
Oh, yes. I've heard much of the events in Lyria. Disgraceful. Such betrayal. However, as you might have noticed, things are none too rosy here either.
Yes, that is hard to miss.
I thought we'd trade blows with the Blackclads. That it would be an even match. 2 weeks. That sufficed to annihilate the army I'd spent my whole lifetime building.
Your Majesty, I cannot say what fate will bring, if we shall reach this war's end alive. But I wish to say now that I admire you.
Oh?
You evacuated the city, yet refused to evacuate yourself. You fight to the bitter end, like a hero.
But of course, a king must lead by example after all. Especially in war.
Reynard, that rumbling, you hear it? Studded boots on cobblestones. The Nilfgaardians. Prepare the men for battle.
Yes, Your Grace.
So, now that we're alone, what's really going on?
What? Did you not hear? I'm defending my capital, like a hero.
Like a man bent on suicide, rather. Demavend, I hate to retreat as much as the next ruler, but sometimes you must pull back to strike another day.
If we must be fully honest, there is another reason I've not left the city. See that building? That one there.
The brothel? The Crimson Bodice?
Precisely. So, promise not to laugh. I'm a patron. A loyal one, in fact. One of the girls there, Demeretta. She's marvelous. Makes me feel young again.
A young fool, you mean? Demavend, there's a war on, and...
Allow me to finish. Demeretta became, well, with child. Exactly 9 months ago. Understand now?
She's entered confinement. Having contractions.
Since yesterday. You see, I cannot leave her like this. Can't have her moved. I must stay put until she gives birth.
And then what? Pray tell. Invite all of Nilfgaard to the christening?
No, my dear. There is a hidden tunnel deep beneath the city, leading far beyond its walls. Once the midwives cut the cord, we flee.
Demavend, you risk the lives of thousands of men for a single child? For a bastard to boot?
Meve, I would kill thousands of men for my child. Born in wedlock or out, it changes nothing.
It changes everything. One way the babe inherits the throne, the other...
You argue succession while I speak of a father's love. But I shouldn't expect you to understand. Your heart, ice through and through, always has been. No wonder, villain.
Your Majesties, the Nilfgaardians are attacking.
Meve, we must hold out. A few hours, that's all.
I'll do what I can. Defend the king! We must stop them!
barbarians.
Something from nothing? It's exactly what I do.
I want their heads! Anvallen in order!
This could hurt.
I warned you.
Meve! We must hold on a bit longer.
I've hit the white of an eye from half a league away.
I'd hoped we could solve this some other way. Make love, not war.
Bigger they are, easier they are to tell. Thing about slings, they hide well.
Now retreat to the tunnel!
With their forces combined, the rulers managed to hold the old town long enough for Demereta to bear the king's offspring, a healthy, hardy boy. When the midwife slapped the infant, his scream carried above the roar of battle. Soon afterwards, the defenders abandoned the walls and left the city through a secret tunnel. The Nilfgaardians, furious that not one but 2 northern sovereigns were among the escapees, razed Aldersburg to the ground.
Thank you. If not for you, the devils would have devoured us.
I should say it was nothing. But the truth is, I need your aid.
Aid? But you see, my army is no more. I must pull back, regroup.
Pull back? Where to? The golden sun flies over your entire realm.
To Redania, to take shelter at the court there.
And then? Will you sit and watch the fool juggle apples as Nilfgaard parcels all Edirn out to its settlers?
Meve, one must know when to fold and when to double down. Nilfgaard has stretched the front. Winter will soon be here. Let the costs claw away at them. A year, 2, then we strike. And we shall prove the Empire is a colossus with feet of clay.
Fine. Do as you see fit.
And you?
I can't live like that.
So what shall you do instead?
Fight on. Until I win. Or the black-clad curs tear me apart.
Gods, such pity I have for your husband. The poor man must have had a rough go of it.
He seemed content with his life while it lasted. Yet I'm serious, Demavend, in my request. You truly won't aid me. Provide nothing at all.
I will tell my men whoever so wishes can join your party and fight on. But please, curb your excitement. They are tired. Few will choose the path of greater resistance. But... Are you familiar with the saying, when at wit's end, a dwarf's your friend?
Yes, it and many others. Yet as much as I appreciate folk wisdom, I prefer facts to philosophy at the moment. Preferably facts relevant to my situation.
How about this? Mahakam is but a week's ride from here. And there you'll find thousands of dwarves armed to the teeth. Enough to turn the tides of this war, I venture.
Yes, they could. If not for another fact. That the dwarves have always been famously indifferent to strife between humans. They'll never come to my aid. I doubt they'll even let me into their land.
Unless you show them this. The leaden ring. A token of amity given to me by the Elder-in-Chief. That's not to say they'll welcome you with open arms. But they will hear you out. And that is something.
Dwarven infantry I'd make good use of. I shall do as you say. Or at least try.
Good. And to ease your journey somewhat, I'll give you as your guide the best man, or rather woman, for the task. Rayla!
Yes, Your Grace?
You've been to Mahakam with me many times. You know their paths. Take Queen Meve and her party there.
If it be your wish, my king, I shall obey.
I'll send messengers ahead that the dwarfs may expect your arrival. Until then, good luck, Meve. And may we one day waltz upon the grave of our foe, Emperor Emir.
May it be so. Just as long as I get to lead.
Ah, of course. Farewell, Queen.
Meve left Aldersburg in ill spirits. Rather than provide the help she had hoped for, Demavend had merely sent her on to Mahakam. Her way west was lit first by the glow of a burning city, then by the smouldering remains of charred villages by the roadside. It was clear the war against Nilfgaard had taken a bitter turn. Each stranger was now treated as an enemy, and the customarily hospitable Adernians slammed their doors at anyone's approach. The party's morale was somber as well, and did not even improve with the first sight of mountains looming in the distance. Wandering among the ashes, Meve entered the dwarves' domain. Along perilously steep paths, Black Rayla led the Queen and company towards Mahakam, the dwarven homeland. There, among snow-capped peaks, someone awaited.
Rayla, you brought strangers.
Gabor, I present to you Meve, Queen of Lyria and Rivia.
Ah, a queen. Crivens. Well then,
A large shadow swept across the sky. The dwarf swallowed the rest of his greeting as all raised their gazes to see a dragon soar swiftly toward Mount Carbon.
Keltulus, dinna be afeard, he isn't a threat to us.
The dwarf had broken the silence gently, he himself quite familiar with this altogether unusual sight.
And now, sit yourselves down afore the pottage grows cold.
But... Flew... Drake?
Stone shrivelling marvel, innit? Makes you almost sad the lizards are dying out.
Should you not worry more about the fate of your brethren? That creature will soon have all Mahakam aflame.
Ha! Keltulus? No! He's lived here centuries. Harmless for the most part. Now, your grace, a taste?
No, none. Though your offer of repast I value, good sir.
Oh, no need of that. Gabor, please. Enchanted to make your acquaintance.
Gabor here's a true local notable, from one of Mahakam's leading clans, the Zigrins. But then he wouldn't be our guide if he wasn't. A guide for all important guests.
A pleasure. And as I said, I thank you for your hospitality, but I've no time to feast now. I must speak to your ruler at once.
Don't mean no offence, but Elder-in-Chief Bruverhoog's a recluse of sorts, as humans go. Didn't even meet the ones that wear crowns. But I suppose I could, meaning if you drafted a letter...
Her Majesty's got Demavend's signet, given willingly.
Ah. Well, that's a sheep of a different sort. We didn't let many human folk into Mahakam, and for good reason. So those who we let come through the second gate get blindfolded. Just after they've surrendered their arms at the first. But you've the leaden ring, given one of your kind to confirm trust and amity. So, we're certain we can treat you as one of our own. Elder-in-Chief's in the pass visiting, looking to his flock. Come on. No reason you two shouldn't jabber right quick.
Though the Lyrian infantry rose half an ell taller than the dwarf, he moved with remarkable ease through the waist-high snow, while those behind him slipped and stumbled on the ice-slick rocks. Meve and Rayla trailed the party, so they might speak in private.
The ring. However did Demavend come to possess it?
Elder-in-Chief himself gave it to him, years ago. A decade, perhaps more.
Why?
Oh, you must have heard the tale, Your Grace. You see, formerly, Foltest of Temeria's sovereign of Mahakam, he believed it was his right to tax any Leand lands, so he sent collectors. Well, the dwarves felt stripped, so they stripped the collectors down to their natural state. Put them in beer barrels, they then rolled down the mountainside.
Ah, my. That incited Foltest's ire, I'm sure.
Indeed, Ember hot ire. A punitive expedition was assembled immediately. We're about to set off when Demavend managed to dissuade Foltest. Elder-in-Chief gave him the ring in thanks.
I see it all now. Prevented Mahakam's slaughter, Demavend did.
Your Majesty, Demavend prevented a slaughter, true. But Foltest's in the Temerians, not the dwarves. Mahakam and fortifications. Well, you'll soon see. No human will take them, ever.
The Elder's gratitude, then? Not certain I know where it came from.
Had the dwarves crushed the Temerians? No, when they had done so, what would have happened? Why, retaliation against all non-humans in Temeria. Bruver knew this, so in fact, Demavend saved them.
Exceptionally provident, the Elder-in-Chief.
And shrewd as a swarm of snakes. So when you speak, beware his hiss, and weigh your every word.
Non-humans you despised immensely, I believed.
They don't bother me a bit. Long as they stay in their lands, seek fortune nowhere else. I detest only those who infest our cities, humbly insist on belonging to our guilds, holding office in our institutions, armies.
Yet some find a place for themselves, blend in marvellously.
It's never lasting. They're different, odd. Strain's inevitable. And then they'll always stab a human in the back.
Rayla, your aid proved an unexpected bounty.
I received orders. I fulfilled them to their end.
My, I see. And what will you do now?
Our paths diverge, not more. I return home now, where new orders surely await.
Demavend has fled to the Redanian court, where he shall cower and not show his mug until spring has sprung. You know this. Would you not prefer to remain in my ranks? Fight the Black Ones bound at the hip?
No, Your Grace.
You have no love for me, do you?
We are not of the same stock, Your Grace, so it's hardly my place to...
Stock and place be ploughed. We must speak from our hearts. Two women, no enmity. Tell me why. I did something you could not abide.
It was what you did not do, rather. In Edirn, you are far too lenient on those elves. As you are ever, prepared to forgive, extend clemency.
What would you have me do? Let you cleanse, rid the wood of all non-humans?
Wickedness demands wickedness. Blood calls for blood.
Very well, Rayla. Then go and drink of it if you must.
Lips pursed, eyes locked, Meve and Rayla took each other's measure a last time. The warrior then bowed in a manner some might think excessively courtly, turned on her heel, and rode off down a slope. Meve gazed after her until she disappeared behind a snowbank, then gave her mount a solid dose of her heels, and rode on, irked as a hare in a briar patch.
Your Grace, I've a message, for your eyes only.
Isbel?
Apologies. Thoughts consume me sometimes. Is there something you need?
Since we left Edirn, you've seemed unsettled. Is all in order?
I've seen many wars in my time. All ugly, all repulsive. But what the Imperials did at Aldersburg was... it was unforgivable.
Nilfgaard. That's what it does, Isbel. They seek here to repeat the rape of Sintra, the slaughter there.
Yes, I saw that. I was there. And at Sodden.
Then you know of what they're capable?
After Sodden, I took an oath never to take part in another war. Such suffering, such hatred, senseless, all those deaths.
Senseless deaths? Our troops sacrificed their lives in defense of their homeland, loved ones.
I believe, I must believe there's a better way. Forgive me, Mom. I must gather my thoughts. Never mind about me, though. I shall perform my duties to my utmost, as ever, as always.
You speak with my soldiers a good deal. Said so yourself. I'd like to know what about.
Corporal Larkin, Ma'am. Do you know him? Captain Oisin, perhaps? Or Lieutenant Tegan?
Of course I know them. Among my best. They've served me loyally for years.
You know them. But did you know that in fleeing Lyria, the corporal left behind a newborn daughter? His wife was in confinement when you gave the order to march. The corporal could not go to see them. And true, the captain has no wife, no child. But he's not seen his brother in 5 years. Never once been granted leave. Your General Odo's orders always taking precedence.
Allow me to guess. You shall now tell me Tegan abandoned his sick mother to follow me.
No, Ma'am. Count Caldwell's men murdered the lieutenant's kin. Retaliation for his joining your rebellion. He learned of this just recently.
Enough. You've made your point. Yet even were I to order them to return, they wouldn't listen. They know they've got nothing to go home to while Nilfgaard occupies our land. Duty calls. I must go.
Of course. Should you need me, I'll be here.
Yes, Your Grace?
How go things, Reynard? You and Gascon get along now, I hope.
Well, you might say we've established a certain rapport, Your Grace.
Tell me more, friend.
I don't pry into his affairs, nor he into mine.
I'd prefer it if my commanders worked together more closely.
Your Grace, the man's a brigand.
Oh, Reynard. He was a brigand.
I must disagree, I fear. Yes, he stopped thieving for now, but only because it's convenient, so to speak. Gascon isn't a changed man. He still hasn't an ounce of honor, dignity.
Yet he has a unit of armed men, without which we'd be much worse off. Might not even have survived.
Agreed. The Strays are excellent fighters. I'd be the first to admit it. I only fear they might turn on us, leap at our throats when we least expect it.
It's time I attended to...
Hey ho, how's my favourite queen in the north?
You and Reynard, do you get along?
Like a cat and a hound. Get it? 'Cause they call me...
Yes, your jests are easily understood. Far more difficult to enjoy.
That's probably true, in your royal high and mightiness's case.
Will you answer my question?
We get along because we must. Though it'd be far easier if he pulled the lance from his arse.
Haven't heard a truer word in a long while.
What was that?
Nothing. It's time I attended to other matters. Farewell.
Yes, milady?
You choose not to follow your king, Xavier. Why?
To fight in the field, with you. This was my wish, my lady.
But what of your home? Rosberg must be rebuilt. Engineers are needed.
I have no kin in Rosberg. No soul left for me there. All I've left is revenge.
I understand. Other matters await my attention.
As you wish, my lady.
Your Grace, I need to speak with your quartermaster. Excuse my Elvish, but I can't drink that goat's piss he serves in the mess.
Reynard's doing, no doubt. He doesn't like the men to drink too much.
To be blunt, ma'am, what Reynard himself needs is to get good and bloated for once in his stiff life. So, I have a proposal for you. A shipment of the best dwarven mead and lager. I can arrange for you to arrive. Trust me, the men's morale's nae like to be a problem when they pour a bit of fire in their guts.
Good point. Very well.
Oh, you've my thanks, dear Queen. A few more days of that and I'd have been lapping up puddle water.
I trust you'll arrange the details.
Of course, no worries. You dinna ken how happy a dwarf you've made me. Ah, right. And the men too, of course.
You're a Zigrin, are you not? I know the name. One of your clan slew the dragon Ockvist.
Aye. You're thinking of Yarpen. Cousin of my cousin. Left Mahakam when I was but a wee snot. Decent enough dwarf, but never could conform to our basic tenets and laws. Though, admittedly, we've so damned many it's hard to keep them from leaking out your ears.
Is it that bad?
I'll put it this way. Among human folk, you cannae steal, brawl, murder. All the basics. In Mahakam, we've got laws about how to braid our beards. But I'm no one to complain. The Zilgrins are well-to-do, one of the richer clans. Got more than enough goods to suit our needs. Though, we've got some bads as well.
What do you mean?
Bah! Nae worth your time. I didn't mean to bother you. Sides, best to jabber of such things over a cold pint. Or keg.
Your elder. I'd like to know more. Do tell me about him, please.
One tough horseman, Brewer. Stubborn as an old goat, as you'll soon see for yourself. All in all, though, he's nae as scary as some say. Been keeping the clans in check for some 2 centuries now. Which is nae a small feat, I might add, no.
No conflicts between them all this time. Are you certain?
Ha! Ha! I can't tell if you're jesting. At each other's throats each day they are. Breckenrigs despise the Chives. Dalbergs would scratch out the Hoog's eyes given half the chance. As for us, we hate them arse-licking fuchsies. But Brewer's got his ways, keeps each yen in line. If not for him, Mahakam would have fallen to bits ages past.
Why?
Round 150 years ago, when the elves were fighting that hopeless war against your folk, the Elder-in-Chief ordered the pass to Mahakam sealed tight. If it weren't for that, we'd have ended up like the pointy ears. As it was, we waited for the shite storm to abate. Didn't open the pass and stretch your legs again till it were safe.
Yes, I remember. The manufactories in Rivia have yet to recover.
With all due respect, Your Grace, your workshops forge utter crap. It's nae our fault that human folk prefer dwarven goods. Basic market principles, that's all it is.
I feel enlightened, Gabor. Thank you. We shall return to this conversation later.
No skin off my back. We seen each other, Your Grace. A hearty Mahakam welcome to you.
What an honour! Even the arbalists salute us with cocked quarrels.
Oh, that well. An ounce of prevention saves a slag heap of trouble. None too shabby as views go, eh?
Were it not for the howling wind, I'd make a sketch.
Meve rode slowly, her surroundings interesting to her, her ears keen to take in the cacophony of sounds. The sharp whistle of wind rushing past towering peaks, the squeak of wagon wheels rolling over frozen snow, and the roar of beasts.
What the? I dare not venture a guess.
Gabor scratched his chin.
An ice troll. Or one of them Barbie Gazer pajamas.
These beasts, are they tame? As the dragon?
Not in your life. Fierce horsens, every last one of them. Spring cleaning year past, 1 year bit my arm clear off.
The Queen's brow rose in a silent inquiry.
All right. You don't quite ken the context. Each spring, with the melting of the snows, a good bit of that filth comes out the ground. That's when Brother Hoog summons all dwarves for spring cleaning. We cut down as much of the filth as we can, and that means relative calm the rest of the year.
Out of the corner of her eye, Meave noted a dark shape darting between rock formations. Calmly, she drew her sword and brandished it a time or two to warm up her stiff arms.
Seems it is our lot to assist you with this cleaning. Lyrians, arms at the ready. Prepare to fight!
Stop standing around like corns on a toe! Get to work! Fuck, our ass is moving. No time for that! All right. You got some splaining to do.
As the wails of speared Shaelmars died down, the crowd of Mahakaman infantry parted. A dwarf stepped forth, grey as a snow fox, wrinkled as a prune. He walked with difficulty, supporting himself on a battle axe, its two heads dripping blood.
This would be our Elder-in-Chief, Brother Hoog.
And who might your guests be, Gabor?
Meave, Queen of Lyria and Rivia, and her associates in court.
My regards, Elder. I come...
You come for something. Coin's my first wager. Fighting bodies my second. Well, what is it you want? I'm on in the years, aye, but I'm not gone dotty. Tja, you menfolk. You got to fall on hard times to remember us dwarves.
I've come with a design in mind, I cannot deny. But hear me out and you shall see.
She's armed! Gabor! Why the devil did you let her in here like that? And without a sack o'er her head!
She has the leaden ring, Elder.
A gift from a king.
From Demavend, lassie, I ken that already. Trust a man, give him something of value, and he'll go and give it away as easy as a street whore gives away nubs. It's a good thing he didn't pawn it. Sons of humans.
I've travelled far to see you. Hear me out, I beg you.
Let it be my loss. Go on, heave her away.
Nilfgaard has overrun my realms. It has overrun Edirn. The Blackclads are at the foot of Mahakam. They will seek to overrun your land sooner or later as well. We must act. We must react together, while there is still time.
Time? What do you ken of time, lass? Got how many summers to you? 40, maybe? Had you grown up amongst dwarven folk, at your age you'd be learning to crochet dolls. No more than that. I've seen 400 summers come and go. And I've been elder for 200. And you know what I've learned in that time? that meddling in your idiot scraps doesn't ever bring any good. Now, on a normal day, I'd have you all thrown clear out of this land I love. But you've the leaden ring, and that grants you the right to hospitality. And here, in Mahakam, laws and rights are sacred. You may stay in the pass so long as you wish. Young Zigrin will serve as your guide. And once you've tired of the mountains, well, you ken the way down into the valleys. I bid you farewell.
My Lord Elder, with all due respect, we came to your aid. We smote the beasts with you, yet...
And who the demons is this one?
Count Reynard Odo.
Ho ho! Odo, Lodo, Bodo! Now, you listen and listen well. We didn't ask for aid, and you know why? 'Cause I've my dignity. Not like some. Mates and wenches! Spring cleaning's done, beast culling's over. Mount Carbon beckons us home. Follow me!
Your Grace, be not dismayed. We will find a way.
Manage we shall, true. Though damned if I know how. We have none other to whom we can turn, no other land where we can flee.
Let us convene in council, Your Grace. Consider together what's to be done. We've yet Redania, Temeria...
Your Grace, might I draw you aside a wee moment, for a jabber?
Reynard, please excuse me. Well, what is it you want?
I ken the Elder-in-Chief dinna make a good first impression.
And the second? Is it any better?
To be quite frank, no. I'll try elsewise. Not all's lost, trust me. Brewer's a stubborn goat, no doubt about it. But a goat to be persuaded. And I happen to ken how.
The selfless impulse to help? I don't believe it exists. So before you describe how you aim to aid me, be kind enough to explain why you wish to do so. Unsolicited, mind you, and clearly against your elder's wishes.
A query of my own to answer yours. Do you ken when Brewer Hoog last strode down the mountains into your lowlands?
I know not. While King Sambuk sat on the throne?
Point of fact, never. Hoog was born here and he'll die here, like most Mahakaman dwarves. Whereas I'm a frequent visitor in your human lands. Been an emissary to royal courts, trade guilds, mummers, troops, and I've eyes. I can see all the rubbish goes on between yous. Nilfgaard's insatiable. The Blackclads will not stop till they've put the whole continent neath their boot. From Ophir in the south to the Dragon Mountains in the north. Gods forbid they grip all the Nordlings' realms in their vice. 'Cause then we'll have their hordes all round, controlling all the trade routes, supply lines, diversions even. And then they'll control terms and prices. Ooh. We dwarves have never been on a lead, let alone a short one. So, in short, we'll all be better off with the Blackclads back across the Yaruga. And I've seen your grace. Seen you in battle. You've brawn and bite, and with the right support, you can drive them back. I ken that well.
Very well, I'm all ears. What must we do to spur Bruverhoog to aid us?
I might start with the thorn in our side that are beasts. A bigger thorn than most expect. See, in our never-ending search for gold, we dug deep. Too deep. And reached abysses where monsters are born, or however they come to be. Soon as it turns a bit warmer, they crawl out to feed. And there's more every year. What you saw there, the spring cleaning, that's just light yearly upkeep. It dinna go at the source of the blight. Every spring we cull enough so we can live and trade and mine, normal-like. But there are corridors in the upper valleys midst the peaks, where more lie waiting to pounce. So many, there's settlements that have done been abandoned.
I still fail to see how this relates to myself and Bruver.
Your Majesty, slay the beasts down to their last, and you'll win the hearts of the clans. All of them. And with the clans behind you, why, the Elder will have no choice. He'll bend an ear, treat you serious. You got two sites through which beasts swarm in great numbers. There's Davor's Abyss, and an abandoned underground settlement called Burr's Rump. Destroy those, collapse the corridors, problem solved.
You colour the solution as simple and known. Why has Bruver Hoog not gone at the matter?
Ha! You must learn one thing about us dwarves of Mahakam. Customs, traditions, why, we're obsessed. Goes thrice for Bruver. The Elder deliberates weeks on end. And that's in considering if we shouldn't wear suspenders, because they might be through outside, and should thus be forbidden. We've a set of laws, the Four Dwarves Codex. One of its tenets says, dare ye not close a corridor once oped. So, no self-respecting dwarf can, nor will, do it. But you're free out with. The laws dinna apply. You've a free hand in sealing the corridors from which the beasts come. Collapse them, flood them, I dinna ken, but solve the grief once and for all.
And this, 'twould suffice?
I believe it would. But find you other ways to win the heart of a clan or Bruver himself. Do so. Can he bring no harm?
All this sounds rather toilsome, yet I do favour this to losing another moon seeking out a court where we would at first be welcomed, only later to hear another rebuke. You've my gratitude, Gabor. You've shown me a way. Very well. Let us think on these beasts. See what's to be done. I've come to the conclusion your Elder-in-Chief is not fond of guests.
Fond? That's near the quarter of it. He hates them, with seething passion. But you're damned lucky.
Why's that?
Let you in, didn't he? Mahakam was cordoned off completely through the outside world for many a long year. Clans finally forced Bruver to at least let in peddlers and emissaries. Though he dragged his feet as long as he could.
Have it the white of an eye from half a league away.
You can try to win them all, but you won't.
Bigger they are, easier they are to target. Thing about slings, they hide well.
Fear not! We shall achieve our goal! Hey?
All right, that's no problem. you, pal? Anything.
I only use 4 soup, except sometimes they're quite fresh.
We got a job to do.
Coin never stinks, no matter how rank the pouch.
Her Majesty knows what she's doing.
Dram of glue, a bit of soldering, a rivet or two, and it's good as new.
Hey, don't toss that. It's perfectly usable.
Bigger they are, easier they are to target. Thing about slings, they hide well.
I smell a leak.
You mad? Don't say that!
Hey? Ever have a stone knock out one of your teeth? I've hit the white of an eye from half a league away.
A job to do.
Quick and painful this'll be.
quiet, wench. You'll scare the fish off. Crevens! Trout was already nipping at the bait. Then you came along, frightened the... Duvel Scheiss! Duvel Scheiss!
The dwarves are demanding a pretty sum, but their steel's worthy of any crown. No offense meant, the Rivian blades don't hold a candle to their Mahakaman cousins. Their elders just a tad... eccentric. No offense meant, the Rivian blades don't hold a candle to their Mahakaman cousins.
Meave noted a crowd of dwarves. They were several dozen, many holding baskets brimming with dried sausages, soft, puffy pretzels, and jugs of frothy beer.
What is this gathering?
She asked Gabor.
These folk, they're the parents of youngsters who are to return today from their Dreckthag.
Gabor proceeded to explain that the Dreckthag was a trek upon which the local dwarves would embark when they reached maturity. During this year-long voyage, young folk would taste of life beyond their home. Yet if they failed to return on time, they would be stripped of all rights and privileges accorded to Mahakam's natives.
See, in recent years, young folks' blood's been boiling on account of the strict laws in force here.
Gabor added.
So, we send them out. Let them taste life in the lowlands. Once they've learned for themselves what it's like to live among humans, they come back and ain't likely to complain.
Customarily, only a few dwarves ever decided to remain in the valleys for good. That year, however, was different.
Deadline's the Mora, and 40 Dreckthagers still haven't returned.
Their parents now worried if some misfortune had not befallen them. The Mahakaman Guard had sent out patrols to the near reaches of the valleys. They returned not having seen anything distressing, while the humans living at the foot of the massif had been largely unwilling to talk. The guard captain, a dwarf with a fiery red beard, removed his helmet, wiped the sweat from his brow, and addressed Meave.
Your Majesty, we need to find our youth. Perhaps you'd be willing to go out and search. Human folk are more like to tell you if they saw anything out of the ordinary of late. Naturally, there'd be something in it for you too.
One could say I myself have lost a son.
Meave gripped the captain's hand firmly.
And I know well the pain that comes. I shall do all in my might to spare you at least that.
Meave set off, the hopeful gazes of the dwarven parents bidding her farewell. The Queen sent a scout ahead. Sometime later, she heard his horn. 3 blasts. 2 short, 1 long.
An ambush!
Meave expected to combat beasts or robbers. Yet upon her force descended warriors with squirrel tails attached to their helms. Scoia'tael.
Scoia'tael! Don't let them escape!
Abayeth me'ebhar!
Catch!
Come on! Who's fast?
Got a hearty hankering for Gwent.
I smell a leak.
not to help one or the other.
Now we will see who is weak.
For you, pal! Anything.
I shall not fail!
Sod it. Sod it all.
None shall tread on us!
Hey?
They used to tire my tongue about that.
Ever have a stone knock out one of your teeth?
Never had your kneecap broken.
I've hit the white of an eye from half a league away.
Elven blarney.
The storm is coming. Let's enjoy the weather while we still can. You should not have come here.
My scars? No, they don't hurt.
Now we must stick together.
die for that!
Oh, if anyone's got any hooch left.
Nothing personal, I assure you.
Ah, they used to iron my tongue about that.
Death to Old War!
What's a helmet if not a pot turned over?
They're so young. No wonder they were easily manipulated.
As soon as the battle had come to an end, the prisoners were brought before the Queen. All, without exception, were dwarves, and all looked to be youthful dwarves.
Mystery solved,
muttered Meave. In fact, these were the missing Drechthaggers. Instead of returning home, they had enlisted with guerrillas fighting for non-human rights. But what had prompted so drastic a decision?
I was impatient. Wanted badly to turn 50. I couldn't wait to see human cities. Vitsima, Tretogor, Novigrad.
Said one of the dwarven prisoners while pressing a bandage to a bleeding wound.
And you know the welcome that awaited me there. I was spit upon and called names. I saw ghettos, massacres. And how was I to go back to the mines after that? We must fight while we still can. Before the humans come to cut us down, we must tell the rest of ours the same. Pull all Mahakam into the fight!
Meave's soldiers stood waiting for her to protest, to accuse the dwarf of lying. But the Queen could not pretend she did not understand why the dwarf had taken up arms. Without entering into a discussion, she ordered the prisoners taken to be tried and judged by their kin and elders. The dwarven parents thus got their offspring returned to them, albeit wounded and in chains. Bruva Hoog, who had limitless disdain for the Scoia'tael, demanded the dwarven youth be severely punished for succumbing to the rebels' seductive ideals. In the end, the Drechthaggers were sentenced to 50 years hard labor in the quarries. The Elder-in-Chief believed a half-century of swinging a pickaxe would sufficiently cool the hot heads of these would-be guerrilla fighters.
They came back alive. That's the key part.
The red-headed captain said, handing Meave a pouch as a reward.
And perchance by the time they're freed, the war twixt the races will be over, eh? What do you think, Queen?
Meave shrugged in response. Perhaps she had no opinion in the matter, or perhaps she simply did not wish to state it aloud.
Might be in jail, but at least they're back. That's most important. Might be in jail, but at least they're back. That's most important.